as soon as that idea pops in my head, it's kind of like this. It relieves the tension instantly, and oh, okay, that's what I'm going to do. So, I don't do this so much consciously; it's very subconscious. But I'm starting to become more conscious of it. So, um, I get a little anxious. I start to doubt myself, and then I say, well, what if I, let's just check this website, and then all of a sudden I find myself checking the website, and this is like not an uncommon experience for me. This is extremely common, and it happens with everything, and I just kind of barely get through life just by floating along on my coattails, or whatever you call that. Just by floating along, and when an emergency pops up, then I'll deal with it. But I don't really take proactive measures very often. And I used to call it chronic procrastination. That was before I understood that it's really anxiety. And whether you want to call it anxiety or whatever, but it's fear. And it's not just one kind of fear, it's many different kinds of fears. So I guess that brings me to the topic I really wanted to talk about, which is fear. And my conception of fear, maybe I'll give you a little history to cement this idea. So I was in Prague, and I was working at this really good company, and it was a really good job, and I should have been happy, but I totally was not happy. And I didn't know why. I had no social life. I didn't know why I had no social life. I wasn't happy at work. I wasn't happy out of work. I was a workaholic at the same time. But at the same time, I wasn't doing anything at work. So I was on a project that I really was not motivated on at all. I felt totally unmotivated. I was alone on the project when I like working with people, or I would have preferred working with people. I felt out of my depth. I felt like I didn't know what I was doing. Anytime I tried to do something, I couldn't make any progress. Anyway, I had all these kind of negative feelings, and I just realized, it's not working. And here I am at this really good job, in the sense that if you were to look at it on paper, it's a really good job. The company was a really great company, doing really innovative things and interesting things. If I was an unfeeling machine, I would have done fine. I would have been fine. I could do the work, but I just wasn't motivated. The problem was that I had feelings, and I wasn't emotionally healthy. So it got to the point where I had to do a particular project. In fact, this happened repeatedly, so there were a few different instances of it. But basically, there was this project I had to work on, and I just could not work on it. I could not do anything. I could not make any progress. Anytime I tried to focus my efforts on it, I would instantly go to the internet. I would instantly do something else. Anything but work. And I couldn't force myself to do it. And It just, I was stuck, totally stuck. And I thought to myself, what the fuck? I had no clue what was going on with me, and I knew a lot less then than I do now about my psychology and psychology in general. And so I'm just trying to recreate the idea in my head and explaining it here. So I came to the realization that regardless of the fact that I don't know what's stopping me, something is stopping me. So I thought, well, what is that something? And I'm a really kind of I'm a really rational person. That's my thing. That's what I strive to be, and that's what I reject non-rational reasoning for the most part, and I try to weed out irrational ideas all the time in myself. And I'm constantly examining my beliefs and everything like that, and trying to weed out anything that could be, a bias or a jump to conclusions or a hidden assumption or that kind of thing, or an emotional reasoning. That's one of the most important parts. So I thought, what is it? And I tried to analyze myself rationally. And the more I tried to analyze myself rationally, the crazier I got. The more desperate I got, the more confused I got. So then I would start to sit down and try to do something, and I would just get sudden confusion and just, what the hell's going on? And then I find myself on the internet. And not doing work. And I just thought, what the fuck is going on? This is totally irrational behavior. So here I am, this guy who tries to be super rational all the time, being completely irrational. And what could make a person do that? So for me, it comes down to this concept, okay? I would approach this topic of this project, and again, this happens, it's not just this one example, but this happens all throughout my life. I approach this topic, and I back away from it. I try to approach it, I back away. Try to approach it, I back away. What is that thing that causes people to back away from things? That's fear. Fear is what causes people to distance themselves, to retreat, to defend themselves, to separate themselves from some situation. That is fear. Now, I didn't know that I was feeling fear at that time. I just knew that I was backing away from things. I couldn't examine myself. I had no interest. I couldn't examine my feelings because I had been constantly trying to eliminate any feeling. I mean, that's part of that whole rational thing. I was trying to any decisions that are based on feelings, I was trying to eliminate those. So I had built into me, I had the system of, oh, there's a feeling, shut it down. There's a feeling, shut it down. There's a feeling, shut it down. And of course, it works in a lot of cases when you need to be rational. But this is the key concept. Fear is more powerful than reason. Or rather, what I should say is, fear is more powerful than the desire to do something. And it can it can overwhelm your reason by creating confusion. And this is really, this is how our brains work.